So here are the assembly instructions for the flat top candy dispenser, and this one is Valentine's Day themed. I'm going to start by assembling the dispenser itself. So I have three pieces that have a trapezoid shape cut out of them. One's a circle, the other one's an octagon with tabs, and the other one is just a simple octagon. So for the one with tabs, I'm just going to fold down on all 8 tabs around the perimeter of my piece. Although it's all white, this piece is actually a piece that I salvaged from one of my print and cut pieces. So when I removed them from the mat, I've kept both of these two pieces, and this one will fit here. So I'm just putting glue on the underside of it and then just gluing this so that the cutouts on both pieces are stacked up exactly on top of one another and lined up perfectly. Then I'm going to take the tabs that are all the way around this piece and I'm going to fold them upwards like so. So next I'm going to take the long strip that has the score lines the length of it, and I'm just folding down on all those score lines. And then I'm going to take that base piece. So with the tabs folded up, I'm putting glue on the external part of the shape on one of the tabs, and I'm gluing the first panel, so from the cut edge to the first score line to the tab. So the 2 points of the tabs, so if we're looking at the other tab, so it would be here and here. So the 2 points would be against the edge of the strip and the first score line on the strip. So I'm just putting glue on the next tab from the score line to the edge, and then gluing my second tab in. And now I'm just working my way around the shape, and I want the cut edge of the strip to go right along the score line of my tab. Then there's the last tab that's on the end of my strip. I'm going to put glue all over it, so from the score line to the edge. I'm going to tuck it under the straight edge of my strip piece and then just glue it to the interior of that piece. So next I have my circular piece that has that same trapezoid shape on it. I'm putting glue all over the underside of that piece that I've just assembled. And I'm just positioning it so that those cutouts are stacked up on top of one another. And so next I have these brads. They're very small, and the head of the brad is approximately a little bit smaller than 1/4 of an inch. So I'm just inserting my brad in the hole that's in the center of the shape that I've just assembled. And then I'm going to take the little rectangle. It also has a hole in the center. I'm just putting my brad through it. And then I'm going to open the pins on my brad. Open them flat against the rectangle like so. I'm taking some red line tape. You can use double-sided tape for this as well. And I'm just positioning it over my brad, and I'm pressing down on my brad. I want to make sure that my brad is adhered to the red line tape. So next I have an octagon piece with tabs all around the perimeter. I'm just folding down on all 8 of those tabs. I'm just putting glue on one of the tabs. It doesn't matter which one. I'm going to take my base piece and just inserting the tabs so that it's inside my shape. My tab should fit right between the score lines that are on the walls of my candy dispenser. And then I'm putting glue all over the 7 remaining tabs. I'm going to carefully tuck those tabs into the inside of my shape. And then I'm just going in from the top and I'm just pinching my tabs into place. So I've got my thumb on the outside and my fingers on the inside, making sure that my tabs are properly positioned. So next I have some double-sided tape. So I'm covering that frame piece or the perimeter of my dome with double-sided tape. Now you could use glue for this part, but you have to make sure that your glue is completely dry between each step. So using the double-sided tape is faster. So now I'm removing the liner on the double-sided tape. So now I have an octagon cut out of acetate, and I'm just removing the protective film. And then I'm positioning my acetate so that it's centered over my opening, like so. Then I'm putting a second layer of double-sided tape all around the perimeter on top of the acetate. So now I have a piece that I took from the interior of this shape. This particular piece doesn't have any other colors other than the white. If you had a design inside, then you'd be replicating this design on the top of your dome. So in this case, it's just white. It doesn't really make a difference. I'm removing the liner from my double-sided tape, and then I'm placing my border piece right on top of that double-sided tape. And then I have my 3 print and cut pieces. So the one with the trapezoid shape cut out of it is actually the back. That's why it's a mirror image of the two others. And then I have my two pieces of craft board. Now, an alternate style would be to put foam tape, but I decided to try it with some craft board instead to create a little bit of thickness that you need to spin your mechanism. So this is how I'm layering my gnome. The one with the trapezoid cutout is the bottom, and the printed side goes down on my mat. So there's one print and cut with an octagon cut out of the center. I'm gluing that one down next. I'm trying my best to stack them up directly on top of one another. And then I have one of my craft board pieces. I'm just putting glue on the back of it, and I'm carefully gluing it down, trying to make sure that my edges are all even. And then I have my second piece of craft board. I'm just going to do the same thing. And then I'm going to grab my dome piece. I'm exposing the adhesive from my red line tape. I want to straighten my rectangle so that it's exactly flush against the edge of my trapezoid cutout. And then I'm going to flip my piece over and position my piece right over the cutout that's on my base, like so. And then I'm pressing down from the inside, making sure that red line tape is adhering to the base. And then I'm putting glue all over the craft board for my base piece, making sure that I'm not getting glue anywhere near the rotating part. And then I'm positioning the print and cut piece that has the round cutout just on top, making sure that my edges are nice and even again. It's all stacked up. So all these layers are stacked up exactly on top of one another. So there's too much white showing at the bottom here, so I'm just taking a Sharpie and I'm just drawing along the edge with my Sharpie to try to camouflage some of that white. I call this the pretty woman technique. I have these hearts cut out of craft board. I'm just gluing these on top of the white hearts. And then I have his little hands. I have my holder in the closed position, and I'm going to glue my little hands so that they're on either side. So I'm just putting glue on the underside of his hand, and with my holder in the closed position, I'm just gluing the hand on either side, like so. And so the kitten one goes together pretty much the same way with a few minor differences. One of the main differences between the one with the cat and the one with the gnome, the one with the cat has a pattern that is being cut through to make way for the dome, whereas on the gnome, it's just a white piece. So this shows how the top piece for the cat is different. I have that trapezoid shape towards the bottom. I have this print and cut that replicates the edge of the image that I'm using. The transition between the heart and the cat is right at the bottom here, and I'm placing it so that it's in that position as well, so you can see how the pattern is repeating. You can see the transition here between the red and the cat. You can see that at the bottom as well. It's at the same spot. For this one, I've used foam tape instead of the 2 layers of craft board. So this is the back of my candy dispenser. I'm going to put glue all over it, and I'm just gluing it to the underside of my craft board piece. And then I'm flipping my piece, and then I have the layer that has the octagon. I'm gluing it down on top of my craft board layer. And then I'm going to take my candy dispenser, and I'm just dry fitting it over that hole. So I want the trapezoid shape at the bottom to be placed exactly over the opening or the cutout for the trapezoid shape that's on my base. Then I'm going to take a pencil, and then I'm going to draw around the larger circle here. So one of the techniques I use for applying my double-sided tape, I use a piece of parchment paper, and I'm just drawing around my base shape and then around that trapezoid shape. And I'm placing my candy holder over where I've traced the trapezoid opening, and I'm tracing around the outer circle of it. I have to leave a little bit of a margin all around that circle, so everything else here I can cover with foam tape. So I'm just going to cut my foam tape to size. So now that I've covered my layer with parchment paper, I'm cutting around the perimeter, which also cuts the foam tape to the dimension I actually need. I'm just going a little bit within the line that I've traced. And then I have that circle. I want to make sure that there's plenty of room for my dome to spin. So I've just cut around that outer circle, and now I'm just going to peel off the layers of foam tape and apply them to my card base. Then I'm taking the backing off my double-sided tape that's covering my brad. I'm placing this rectangle, the bottom of it is exactly against the edge of that trapezoid shape, and just matching up those two trapezoid shapes for placement. So next I'm taking the protective layer off my double-sided tape. So now I'm left with my last printing cut piece that has the circle cut out of it, and I'm making sure that I'm placing it so that the edges match exactly over my base piece. Load it up with candy, and then I spin it to close.